or the parties that actually involved in the project risk. Most importantly, okay, or the first party, I would say important party, you have principal, your main contractor, subcontractor, followed by your architect, engineers, project managers, even suppliers. These are the party that is related to a project risk, okay? But most importantly, or most commonly, in a CAR or EAR policy, okay, the parties to be named as insured are principal or owner of a building, your own building, or whatever owning a project. Developer, their interest is important to be named. Main contractor, or all contractors, or the nominated subcontractors, as well as the bridging loan financial. These are the main parties that to be named in the policies. Now, we will go into the details of contractors and erection or risk insurances. What are the coverage, exclusions, and so on. Okay, this is the features of contractor all risk and erection all risk insurances. These insurances provides all risk cover. Okay, the policy is in all risk form. What is all risk covers? It says that, okay, the policy says that it covers all unforeseen accidental damage to the properties insured unless specifically excluded from the policy. So sometimes it may be a bit like not very sure or not very clear when your customer asks you, I still don't understand what does all risk cover. You may view this way in explaining to your customers. All right. Okay. Other than just now the description of an all risk cover, whatever I don't exclude, I cover you. You may give example like, okay, think of a fire insurance that you may introduce. What can be covered under a fire insurance? Fire, lightning, I hope you have learned this product well. Fire, lightning, and all the perils like flooding, subsidence, storm, and so on. These are all the part of coverage of a CAR or ER policy. On top of that, okay, we will have theft cover. Okay, theft cover to your property insured, and also accidental damage, any kind of accidental damage. This is sufficient enough, okay, to explain what type of cover that, okay, one can get from a CAR or EAR policy. And these two policies are the only policy, as I reiterate, that can cover contract work. They are specially designed, okay, to suit the coverage of a contract risk may need, okay. And another important features of CAR and EAR is, take note of that. If you come across selling other classes of insurance, you will remember that, okay, all of the classes of insurance is on a yearly renewable policy, 12 months coverage. But for CAR and EAR, it covers the entire project period. So the policy period will follow, okay, the period that this construction work, okay, need to be completed. Next, since we are talking about period of cover, this is a very, very important slide which I want to share with all of you, which I hope that you can understand it clearly and is able to explain to your customers when you sell EAR and CAR insurances. It is very important. All right. So how does the period of cover for a CAR and EAR insurance work? As I mentioned just now, it is not a 12 months coverage. It follows the contract period, right, of a project or a contract work. Let's look at the commencement of these two insurances first. Everybody knows, okay, the coverage actually starts from the date you enter in the contract. Yes, that's right. Okay, or the date which is stated in the LA when this project should kickstart. But take note that, okay, the CAR and EAR should actually commence, okay, once they started work, right? This is important because when you started your work, you are already as a contractor exposed to whatever risk which I've mentioned earlier. Okay, damages to your construction material, your liability risk is already there. In fact, they should actually start covering the CAR and EAR whenever they unloaded any construction material at site. Why? Once the material is there, the risk is there already. Okay, so the commencement of a CR should always follow, okay, whether they already follow the commencement of the work, the date they commence the work, or the date they actually unloaded the properties at the site. Okay, but the most important part of it is you have to learn when does the policy expire. A lot of people or a lot of customers even have sold a few, quite numbers of CR, ER policy to my customers. They will always come back and confused about the expiry date of a CR and ER policy. So I need you all to take, put concentration, okay? How to see when a CR and ER expire. Common, everybody knows policy expires as per the expiry date, okay, of the policy schedule. Yes, this is right. But besides that, a project works may be taken over earlier than your expiry date. Okay, for example, the project finished faster, the contractor has already now hand over the project to the principal. Okay, at that point, usually a CPC, or we call it the certificate of practical completion, is signed between the principal and the contractor. Okay, we call works taken over. This is the point where the principal has taken over the completed project and released the contractor from his or her liability as a contractor. I wish to remind you, contractors and erection or risk insurances covers, okay, the risk of a contractor mainly. So once a contractor is released from his or her liability, technically my policy ceases cover, even though the policy has yet to expire. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. So the policy can actually expire earlier than the date of the policy schedule. Okay, provided jobs has been taken over or CPC has been signed. In another scenario, we call it, okay, look at here, put into service. How do you understand put into service? Okay, when a risk, a project risk, whether or not it is partially or entirely taken over by the principal, and the principal has already put it into service or use for other purpose other than the construction risk. Okay, therefore the policy also ends at that point. Okay, policy has not expired. Huh? Okay, I give you a scenario for your easier understanding. Huh? Thinking of a factory building. Okay, even though the contractor has built, okay, completed the entire building, but CPC hasn't signed, meaning that valid document has not been signed between the contractor and principal that, okay, this job has been completed and taken over. But at this point, principal has already put in their properties. They move in their machines, okay, they deposit the stocks in this new building, and therefore it already deviates the risk from a from a construction risk to maybe a storage or manufacturing risk. So it is common sense. It is our CAR and ER will not continue to cover for such scenario. So once the building is put into use or any part is put into use, the CAR policy cease or stop covering for that part which is put into use or put into service. Another example, which is quite common that you can see, a high-rise building. Okay, sometimes you have towering podium, then all the towers on top of the podium. Okay, in some occasion, okay, podium has been completed, but on top of the podium, the towers is still under construction. But somehow the principal, okay, has either take over partly the podium, or they put the podium into use. Therefore, bear in mind that CAR and ER cease once it is put into use. And at that point, take note, important. The principal has to buy his or her own insurances, okay, on operational type of insurances like fire, burglary, PL, or even ORIS to cover their own property. Why? Because CAR will not continue to cover for the podium anymore. Okay, so this is very important. I hope you explain the same, you know how to explain to your customers. Okay, on erection or risk, same as contractor or risk insurance, how the policy should commence and expire, except to take note that, okay, the policy will also cease upon testing being completed, testing or commissioning being completed. Okay? Right. Next slide. Talking about period of insurances. In CAR and EAR insurances, you will see there are two insurance periods stated in your policy. What are the two? Number one, we have gone through the period of cover in my previous slides. Okay? This slide will show you the maintenance cover, or we call it the defect liability period. This is the period which starts upon the expiry of the policy, or remember, the expiry may be at the point prior to the policy when the project risk or contract works is taken over or is put into use, then the maintenance cover starts. All right, so it always starts after the policy has expired. So the question is this a continuous cover or continuity cover of your CAR and ER policy? No, please do not understand it this way. A lot of customers confused. Some customers may even ask me, hey, Miss Wei, my period not yet expired. You see, it ends after the maintenance cover, which is the wrong understanding. I hope you explain to your customer that, okay, policy ends when policy expiry date. As per the policy expiry date, work taken over or CPC signed, or when it is put into use, and only starts the maintenance period. Okay, the maintenance period is the period that, okay, once the project has been handed over to the principal, but during this maintenance period, allowable, or as stated in the contract, the letter of award, during this period, if the principal notice any defects, okay, which the contractor ought to have completed during the period insurance, but not, okay, there are any defects, there are any alterations need to be done, okay, it is the obligation of the contractor, okay, the principal can call upon the contractor to return to the construction site to make good, to repair of such contract works, which is originally covered under the CR-ER policy. All right, so this is the meaning of maintenance work. It does not continue to cover whatever, okay, or extend the coverage of a CR-ER policy. And usually, look at this. At this point, as I mentioned earlier, after the policy expired, actually the customer or the principal must effect the operational insurances already for whatever damages like fire, act of God, okay, were to damage to their property insured. That should be appropriately cover the operational insurances and not the CAI anymore. I repeat, maintenance cover is only, okay, to fulfill the obligations of the contractor returning to the construction site to make good or to repair the contract works which they should actually done properly during the period of insurance, but they did not, or anything were to happen. Okay, so the principal may call them back. So when they do the rectification work, repairs work, and further damage to whatever coverage, construction value that we are covering, yes, policy extends to cover the damages done when they are doing the maintenance. Okay, I hope this is clear for you. So the entire CAR policy rule ends, okay, by the end of the maintenance of the defects liability insurance, defects liability period. This is a clearer picture. It gives you a clearer picture of what is covered during a maintenance or defects liability period. Usually, okay, besides the period that were mentioned in the CAR and EAR policy, what is the period for defects or maintenance cover? There will be clauses that we endorse in the policy to clearly clarify what are the coverages during this maintenance period. Okay, let's look at maintenance visit clause first, which this is the mandatory, I will say the old type of maintenance clause. Okay, it says that, I read it out, cover for loss or damage to completed works caused by contractor whilst complying with defects liability obligations. Like I mentioned, principal call upon, okay, the contractors to return to the site, okay, to do the repair work. Whilst contractors are doing repair works and further damage to the contract works, which is covered under the CR, yes, we will pay for the damages. This is the meaning of visits maintenance clause. Okay, but at the same time, all right, we have another clause that I would say. This is nowadays, usually this is the clause that we use for the CAR, ER policy, which is called the extended maintenance clause. Besides covering, okay, the obligations of the contractor returning to the site, it also covers loss or damage to contract works. Take note, caused during the construction period, but only discovered or manifest itself during the defects liability period. Okay, so just now this part says that when you come back as a contractor, you do the repair work. Okay, maybe you repair this part of the building, but it collapses or whatever further damage to the other part of the contract works, yes, we will pay for the damages done, resultant damages, right? Okay, but extended maintenance clause further explain that. Okay, even you are not calling you didn't call the contractors to return, but the losses or damage is already caused during the construction period, but you are not aware as a principal. You took over the project already. Okay, but during the maintenance period, you notice that, hey, this is not this is damage. Okay, this damage is already done there during the construction period. You can then policy you can pay for these damages during the maintenance period. Okay, I hope you have a clearer picture now, clearer understanding of what is maintenance period all about. Okay, it must be arising from the maintenance work. Okay, we don't cover any extend to cover your contract works due to act of God, fire, or whatsoever. The principal must already buy their own operational insurance to cover the completed risk. Another thing, take note of the right bottom side here. Excluding section 2. Take note that, okay, during maintenance period, section 2 is no longer effective, no longer valid. It does not cover you when you damages to the third party during maintenance period. But somehow this may be buyback for additional premium. Okay. Next slide shows you what is covered under a CR and ER insurances. There are two sections under an ER or CR insurance. Section 1 covers the material damage. Material damage is onto the contract or construction material, which you can see, okay, mentioned in your letter of award, the contract value. That is the sum that you entered into the insurance policy to be covered under section 1. Okay, if anything were to happen, material damage, okay, unforeseen or sudden physical loss from any cause, remember, or risk cover, okay, necessitating repair or replacement, this policy or insurer will indemnify the insured in respect of such losses. As I mentioned just now, how do you explain all risk cover? You may give some. Hello, sorry. I heard somebody talking. Maybe some interruption. Okay. Now here, these are the examples of perils that you can explain to your customers, like act of God, accidents, external force, theft, malicious damage, earthquake, tsunami, typhoon, okay, rust, corrosion from flood, fire from lightning strike. Okay, these are the example of perils. Okay, now come to the interest insured. When we talk about section 1, just now I mentioned, you can see from your letter of award, the contract signed between the principal and contractor for the contract value that you should insure. This contract value refers to the construction work. All right. Besides the construction work, okay, you may also include the principal's material. What is in principal materials? These are the material that's supplied by the principals, okay, for the purpose of the contract, which can also be covered, okay, under a separate item of section 1. Besides, take note of this. Existing properties. This is another item or interest insured the contractor may consider adding into section 1 of the policy. These existing properties refers to the principal existing properties. I'll give an example. Say for example, if this is my office now, okay, I'm already having my table, my office equipment here, but at the same time, okay, when I'm running my office, I engage a contractor to come into my office to do some renovation work. Okay, So, of course, the contractor will buy a CAR insurance covering the construction works or the renovation works, which I as principal pay. But during the renovation work, how if the contractor accidentally damaged to I'm a principal, the existing properties of mine? Do you think that it is covered? I mean, my table and even my computer, is it covered under the contractor's all risk insurances? No, the answer is no, because my contractor all risk insurance cover only the construction works, the CV that I entered into a contract with the contractor. So if you think there is a need to protect these existing properties of principal, okay, principal may not care if you're a contractor, you damage my properties, I may just say, hey, hello, contractor, pay me back for my losses. So that is a choice that contractor can extend to buy this extra item called principal's existing properties to protect their financial loss, if in case they damage the principal's properties. So the question is, how to determine the sum insured to insured? Always tell your customers, okay, to check. They are contractor, they are more expert than all of us here. They may know that the the type of job that they perform at this place, whether or not how likely in one incident they've been damaged the surrounding properties, especially the existing properties of the principal. Usually they may estimate first loss basis, maximum probable loss, to insure a lump sum of PEP, we call it, in section 1 of CAR. Okay, next, construction plant and machinery. Just now I mentioned, this refers to the contractor's own plant and machinery. Very rare occasion that, okay, we will propose or we will consider adding the construction plant and machinery under section 1 of the CAR policy, unless it is really necessary. The reason why I explained to you, plant and machinery belongs to the contractor. A contractor does not have only one project. Most of the time, they will have several projects, and they will send their plant and machinery from one project to another. Once they finish this job, the crane extend to the other project. So it doesn't mean that a construction plant machinery will always be in this project at this location site. So more appropriately, okay, the plant and machinery should be covered under an annual policy and all risk policy, okay, to cover all their plant and machinery at several locations. Anyhow, take note that if in the event that this item is included at section 1, the rate of this plant and machinery, okay, is different from the normal section 1 rate. Okay, the rate, we will have a separate rate on plant and machinery, and it is on annual rate, okay, and not an entire project policy rate, just for your information. Next, more importantly, I need you to know, okay, that is this item that you can also add under section 1, which is the removal of debris and professional fees. It doesn't mean that if you don't specifically insure a sum insured of these two, ROD and PF, professional fees, under section 1 of CAR, it doesn't cover. No, okay. Generally, there will be a clause that will put in CAR and ER policy to already cover removal of debris and professional fees, but with a certain limit. Usually it's a very small limit, which is not really adequate. Why I say so? Why I say sometimes it's not adequate, although it's already auto-covered by the policy. Okay, because it doesn't cover anything exceeding your contract value. Give you an example for your easy understanding. If this project, okay, is a 1 million project per se, okay, so if the whole 1 million is burned down by fire, right, policy will pay up to 1 million to reimburse you the losses of your contract works. So that's actually no buffer anymore for your removal costs and professional fees costs. For those who don't understand, I have to just explain. These two, I would say, expenses will only incur in the event of a claim. Meaning, once things are burned down, there's debris there. Before you can reinstate the building, you need to remove the debris, and that is a cost incurred. At the same time, you also need the professional like engineer or architect to draw again, calculate again, okay, to reinstate, to rebuild the damaged part of the contract, where this is time you incur professional fees. So yes, we cover. even though you don't insure it separately. But if it is a total loss or it's a big loss, sometimes you may not have enough buffer because we only pay up to the contract value of the CER policy. So in many cases that you will see the consultant will actually put in this as a requirement in their letter of award and says that, look, contractor, principal, buy a separate sum insured of removal of debris or professional fees, usually with a certain percentage of the contract value. Like I've seen 10 to even 20% that they buy extra to cover removal debris and professional fees. Okay, so take note, these are all the items that you may cover under Section 1 of Contractor All Risk Insurance or Erection All Risk Insurance. Okay, Section 2. Now we go into Section 2 of this policy. Third-party liability. Okay, this CER also covers the insured's legal liability towards any third parties upon or against their bodily injury, take note, bodily injury or illness of third parties, or fatal or not, accidental damage and losses to the properties belonging to third parties, which is direct connection with the erection, construction, testing of the item insured under Section 1. Okay, so in short, principal and contractor owes a third party legal liability, to anybody deemed as third party. So Section 2 will come and protect them. How does Section 2 protect them? Okay, look at this. This policy shall pay, in respect of the claims for compensation, which the indemnity provided, herein applies, the insurers will indemnify the insured against, I'm reading it, all costs and expenses of litigation recovered by any claimant from the insured, and all costs and expenses incurred with the written consent of the insurers. For your easy understanding, we pay compensation to the third party for their bodily injury or property damages if the insured or the contractor is legally liable. On top of that, we also pay the legal costs, the litigation costs, to defend the insured, of this third party claim, right? So the contractor no need to, fork out their own money to defend themselves. This is somehow protecting their financial interest. Okay, this is a summary. Please remember, third party liability insurance, is provided under Section 2 of CER insurance, covering the bodily injury or illness to third party, as well as damage and losses to third party properties. Take note, it is only these two types of coverage for liability cover. All right, next we're going to talk about the exclusion of CER policy. Exclusion is also separated into two sections. We go with Section 1 first. This is on material damage. Common sense, war is not covered. Nuclear reaction, radioactive, this is all standard exclusion. Willful act, willful negligence, we don't cover. A jump. Faulty design, this is a standard exclusion. If you design any items wrongly, policy does not cover the damages. This is a standard exclusion, right? Wear and tear, but no policies will cover wear and tear. Terrorism exclusion. Loss and damage to licensed vehicles, water vessels, aircraft, these should be covered under the motor and hull insurances now, so nothing to do with your CR. We can't pay for that. Loss or damage to data. Loss discovered only at time of taking inventory will not be covered. Consequential loss, any kind of consequential loss. Take note, defective materials, workmanship, casting, whatever defective materials, we don't pay for that defective materials. But resultant damage, yes, is payable. Mechanical and electrical breakdown of plant and machinery, this one should be covered under the all risk insurance or separate another type of insurance. Loss of files, drawings, these are all the standard exclusions. And take note here, which is highlighted in yellow, cessation of work. If the construction work cease for a period or short or long, this policy standard terms and conditions says that it stops covering already once the work has ceased. But look at this buyback. Generally now, this is a buyback that we put in the policy. We do cover cessation for work, but for a certain period which is specified in the policy. Okay, this is the exclusion on third-party liability, the section 2. Same, I'm not going to repeat. Similar exclusions as section 1, but take note of any contractual agreements will not be covered. All right. Family of employees, they are not deemed as third party. Employees of contractor and principal, they are also not third party. In fact, they are the first party of this policy. We are covering them. All right. Property of contractor, principal, or employees, okay, because they are not third party. These are all the standard exclusion. And take note, cessation of work, okay, is also standard exclusion, but can be buyback, which generally is brought back in the policy. We will see that we'll put in an endorsement to cover back this, cover back the cover. Vibration, removal, and weakening of support. Okay, we do not cover any damages arising from vibration or removal or weakening of support for a standard CR policy. But this is also buyback. Okay, we will buy back in the form of endorsement. Okay, put back the coverage, but with terms and conditions. Okay. All right. So far now we have come to quiz time. I hope I have not gone going too fast now. Okay. Team members, please take note. Okay, because I can't see if people answer through the chat box. Any questions so far or not? If not, then we go to quiz first. There will be a Q&A session anyway. You may raise your questions later. Okay. You may type your answer in the chat box you would like to, or if you want to open up your mic, on your mic and speak up, feel free to. My first question here, very simple. What are the 3 major types of insurances that you can cover for construction or erection works? I repeat, what are the 3 types of insurances to cover for construction or erection works? Anybody know the answer? Or everybody fall asleep? I hope not, Aben, let me know if anybody type in the chat box any answer. Feel free to, okay, answer this question. Don't be shy, or else I will be speaking myself and answer myself. Make no sense. Any answers from the floor? Or you totally don't understand? Yeah, maybe I answer for the first questions, but please try on question 2. All right. The 3 major types, as I mentioned, introduce the contractor's all risk insurance, erection all risk, and the workman compensation for a project risk or construction and erection works. All right, I think very simple. So next question. Name a few parties that can be covered in CAR and EAR insurance as insured party. Name a few parties that can be covered in CAR and EAR as insured party. If you don't answer me, I really hope that you have the answer for your own. Okay, if you answer it wrongly, sorry. All right. You can open up your mic and just read out to me. Okay. I sorry because I can't see the answer from the chat box, and I will ask Ben to read out the answer for the first questions. Who has answered it correctly?
And you?
Can you just... Okay, Ben, speak up, please. Do you mind to read out the answer for me?
Hello. Yes.
Yeah,
I saw there was a question to answer to question 1 from Mr. Jin from
Thank
Hanyu.
you. Thank you, Mr. Jin. So what is the answer? Did Mr. Jin answer correctly?
Yes. And
very good. Thank
Mr.
you, Mr.
Santanam
Jin.
as well.
Otherwise, I thought I'm the one who is talking and nobody is listening. Thank you. So you can claim your copy off from Sim Ting An, your service officer. All right. Okay, let's try the second question. Name a few parties that can be covered in CAR and EAR as insured party. I think this is also not a difficult question, right? I have a more difficult ones later on, which if you answer correctly, I may, okay, treat you, small treat. Right. So let's try this question first. Name a few parties that can be covered in CAR and EAR insured party. Anyone? You can write in the chat box. We welcome any answer through the chat box. Don't worry. Not that difficult, right? Remember, we talk about those who involve in the project risk, who are the most important person that they should be endorsed or should be named in the policy. Any answer?
Yes, I saw Mr. Chin and Mr. Santanam as well has replied, stating that.
Okay, what are the answers? Please read out for me, Ben. Thank you.
The parties they mentioned will include principal, engineer, main con, and subcontractor.
Bingo. Thank you for your answer. You answered it correctly. These are the main parties, especially the principal, the main con, or even remember the financial, what's it called, the bank, the banker, okay, should have to be named in the policy as well to protect their interest, especially when there is a bridging loan. Okay, thank you for your answer. Let's proceed to the third question. Name a few of items or material that can be insured in CAR and EAR section 1 of the policy. Or remember, I talked very long during this on that slide on what you can cover under section 1. I hope you can answer all correctly. Okay, and claim copy all from the servicing officer. Anyone, Mr. Jin? You should be able to answer this question now. Try again. Thank you.
Yes.
To write in the chat box.
Yep.
Anyone? Oh, so difficult. Okay, I give you some clue. A few items. The most important item definitely will be the construction works, right? The contract value, like I say, that you should insure under section 1 of CAR policy or EAR policy. What else other than construction works or contract value that you insure? Remember, just I give an example on if you are doing renovation work, what about things that are existing there that you may damage? Okay. All right. Let me read out the answer for you. Okay. There are a few items you may insure under section 1. Besides the construction works, you may also extend to cover principal's material, the material supplied by principal existing properties. All right. I would say removal of debris and professional fees. Okay, as well as construction plant and machinery if it's required. These are a few items. Okay, usually we will see more commonly the contract value, right? Or if necessary, the PEP, principal existing properties, as well as the removal of debris or professional fees as a special item with a separate sum insured under section 1. Okay, I hope you can remember that and can introduce or explain to your customers. Last question. Name the types of liability covered in section 2. I think this is pretty much, quite simple. Third-party liability. We cover the bodily injury and property damage of the third parties, okay, arising from the negligence of the insured, which is the contractor. Right, thank you for your participation. Right, next one, we're going to talk about the underwriting. Okay, what are the documents required for underwriting? Look at this slide. Letter of award. It is a very important document that you should request from your customer, okay, for underwriting purpose or for quotation purpose. Right. There are a lot of information that you can, retrieve or is stated in the letter of award. What is letter of award? It is an award that, issued by the principal, okay, to confirm that this project has been awarded to the contractor. Having a letter of award means that they will mention what is the project, what is the title of this project, what is the contract value, Who is the principal, who is the contractor is named there clearly. Period of insurance will also mention in the letter of award, as well as defects liability period, the requirement for insurances, like how much you should insure for your workman compensation, what is your contract value, what is your, maybe sometimes the percentage required for your ROD or PF, okay, depending on how a letter of award is arranged. Okay, sometimes it will also mention the detailed scope of work, okay, either it's in the letter of award or a supplementary document, okay. So that is important that you get the scope of work if you can't see clearly. What is scope of work? Scope of work will spell out clearly what type of job, okay, is for this project. Give you an example. If you receive a letter of award, okay, the contract title says that proposed buildings, 1-story or what building, full stop. All right. So if the underwriters have a copy of the letter of award explaining the title of the project, he or she wouldn't be able to know, hey, what type of job you do for this building. First, question will raise, is there any clearance of earthworks, any what's that called, piling works involved? Okay, so what do you do? Is how do you build this building? It is not all mentioned in the letter of award, and that is crucial that you request for the detailed scope of work. Best is with the detailed breakdown. Okay, they will have it. The contractor will definitely have this document, right, to state clearly how much is the preliminary cost. Okay, what do we do? The clearance work, earthworks, how much is it? Contract value is how much? Building work, how much? Piling works, how much? This separation will give, this detail will give the underwriters a better understanding of the risk, okay, to underwrite the risk. Next, bill of quantities. I would say not every time, okay, the contractor or developer is able to give you a bill of quantities, but it is somehow a very important document to have. This bill of quantities states what type of material, construction material used, what is the quantity, even the price of the cost of the construction material is mentioned clearly in the bill of quantities, one by one, as small as a nuts, all right? The underwriters will be able to check not only the quantities, but quality of the construction material from the bill of quantities. At the stage of quotation, sometimes if you are not able to get the bill of quantities, it's for certain smaller projects, okay, all right? But in the event of a claim, this is a compulsory document to be provided, as it comprises the detailed, okay, or breakdown of pricings for all the construction material. Next is the layout plan. Be it a location plan or what's called the site layout plan is important, okay, for the underwriters to understand how this construction site is arranged, like the facilities, what is the segregation of the facilities within the site, okay, to assess the safety of the site. And also, location plan will give you the inclination or the understanding of the surrounding properties, okay, or the exact location of this construction site. So take note, when you are approached to quote for a project risk, and you don't just call us, I want to quote lah, okay, try your best to get all this important information, at least LA, scope of work with breakdown, whatever site location plan if you can, all right, and bill of quantities is good to have, okay? Next, I'll just roughly go through what is the letter of award. As I mentioned, this is a document sent by a client or employer as written confirmation that a tenderer has been successful and be awarded a contract. Like I mentioned, remember, there are many information that is stated in the letter of award. You did not ask, hey, who is the principal, who is the contractor? Okay, by having a letter of award, you will be able to see from that. Scope of work. A written agreement that describes the contract work to be performed. On the construction project, it might be a separate document attached to the construction agreement, or it may be a section of the contract. Okay, I don't want to repeat again what is scope of work. Bill of quantities. This is an example. You see a sample of bill of quantities. Name of item, quantity, unit, rate. Okay, the size and the amount. Okay, so this is a document prepared by a quantity surveyor or cost consultant to define the quality and quantity of works required to be carried out by the main contractor to complete a project. See, it's a very thorough information of the what's it called, the construction material used. Layout plan involves identifying, sizing, and placing temporary facilities within the boundaries of construction site. Okay, I've mentioned just now how all these facilities is segregated, okay, within the site. Now, besides the document that I mentioned just now, four in fact, okay, I repeat, letter of award, scope of work, bill of quantities is possible, layout plan. Most importantly, please also ask a few important underwriting questions. For example, number one, okay, distance to the nearest third-party property. This is for the underwriters to assess what are our third-party risk exposure, whether or not there are high-rise building next to it, how near is the third-party properties. Okay, so description of the third-party property is also important, right? Sometimes you may then Google the location, okay, drive to the site, just take some photos and provide to us. We will have a better understanding and to underwrite the risk. Percentage of the works are subcontracted out, all right? Sometimes certain works actually are not solely done by the main contractor. Okay, they may sub out to their nominated subcontractors. This is quite normal. But in some circumstances, the entire job may be then subcontracted out. Then that is crucial for the underwriters to also understand, hey, who is this subcontractor? Are they experienced enough? So we need to also study how many percentage are subcontracted out. Whether the insured has direct supervision or control. Okay, past experience of the insured. If the insured, okay, in the past only built like landed properties, okay, and for the past 10 years, they're experienced in it. Suddenly, they want to build a bridge. Wow. Okay, the underwriters will be more alert. Hey, this insured has experience or not in building a bridge. So further study of the profile or the experience of the insured may be required. Any underground works, this is very, very important and most commonly that you will face on a project that has underground works. Please always ask whether is there any piling works or not. Like as I mentioned, or I built a building. So I need to know, is there any excavation work, piling works, which the risk exposure, especially towards third party, is higher. Okay, so you need to understand the depth, how deep they excavate. Okay, which you can call the underground vibration, okay, collapse risk, and all that will be high. Any survey conducted to properly identify the position of any underground service. This is a very important part of it, that before, okay, contractor perform any underground works, it is important that they always check with the relevant department to find out, is there any underground facilities, any cable, any piping lying underground? Otherwise, if they don't check, straight away just excavate, okay, and hit on the piping. Here comes third-party liability because you damage to third-party's liability. So a survey, okay, for a professional or a proper contractor, they should actually conduct a survey to see, okay, get the plans of the relevant authority to check where is the exact position of the underground services before they perform the job. Okay, whether or not they obtain approval from the relevant bodies, okay, it's also crucial. Next, method statement of underground works. Okay, method statement is usually a statement that mention what are the step-by-step job, what do they do, the method that they use, which we can assess whether this method is safe or not for the type of job. So it's important to get. Any preventive measures on third parties' property damages? Yes, of course. Imagine of a road work. Okay, the traffic is ongoing, so many. So you are perform a road excavation work there. Okay, we will definitely ask what kind of preventive measures you will do to prevent damaging the third party, the people who are driving past this road. Okay, so these are the common underwriting questions, especially the exposure towards third party, especially on underground works. Okay, please ask and get information before we can underwrite the risk. Okay, Next, we will show you some specific types of contract works now. Just briefly run through. Okay, there are government projects. Okay, besides letter award, you may need to study the time schedule and when do they cut grass lah, trim grass, whatsoever. Okay, renovation work, as I mentioned just now, with even example given. Okay, you may need to think whether or not there is principal existing properties and whether or not there is a need to cover PEP. All the investigation work. All right, actually not. I would say most of the projects involve the what's I call interface ground work, or infra work or civil work. A soil investigation process or report is important. So what is soil investigation report? All right, like the bore log layout. This is the common type of the soil investigation report, which is a record made by the driller, okay, or geologist of the rocks found and penetrated in the borehole to understand or study the soil condition. Okay, you may sometimes see underwriters asking for some works on soil condition exposure, because it may varies from different types of work. Likewise, for high-rise development, okay, the load requirement is actually more demanding from a terrace housing development. Okay, since piles for high-rise building usually has to go down very deep, so we need to understand the soil, okay, condition before we to better understand the risk exposure. Okay, next. All right. Earthworks. This is also a common type of risk. Okay, besides the major document, LA, site layout plan, okay, method statement may be required. Bore log profiles, as explained earlier on the soil investigation, ground treatment schedule, recent photos of the site. Okay, we want to see what are the surrounding the party's properties. Okay, or whether or not in this location the terrain is flat land, slopey. This is all important. And detail of scope of work with breakdown of values. Now, works. This is also a common type of works that you may require to quote, provide cover for your contractors. So what are the types of piling works which is more commonly seen? You will have hammer pile, as shown here, hydraulic pile, and board pile. When a project involves piling work, it is important that you ask information on the piling. Okay, number one, ask for the details of pile, like shown here. What type of pile are you using? Is it hammer pile? Hammer pile is an old method to just directly pile or drive the piles into the soil to create support. This is usually the vibration is higher as compared to hydraulic pile. Hydraulic pile is also pile, drive the piles vertically into the ground, but it is driven by diesel or hydraulic power and so on, okay, which is more environment friendly, create less noise, okay, but somehow I heard it may not be so effective as actually compared to hammer pile. This hammer pile and hydraulic pile, for your information, it is a precast pile. Okay, the pile is precast and then bring to the site, and only that they pile in or drive into the soil. As for board pile, what is board pile? Board pile is a type of method that, okay, the contractor will then angle the pile into the board pile into the ground to form a hole, and then later on the workers will fill in the poured concrete. So this kind of method, is more to an on-site casting. Means that they don't cast the pile and bring it there. They cast the pile on site. So the position of the pile can be more precise and secure. And this is the method that usually creates less vibration. Okay, ball pile. So usually you can see in city or more congested type of area, the construction method, they will use ball pile. All right. But anyway, I am not expert in piling. This is just an information. So for piling information, I ask for the type of piles that you use. What is the depth of pile? How many piles, numbers of piles that you use? Okay, most importantly, if you can, get the piling schedule and the piling layout plan for the underwriter's in-depth study of the piling method. Okay, we have high-rise building. the common type of documents required. I don't want to repeat, okay? And just take note, okay, another additional document that you may need to ask for high-rise building. We usually will ask for plan, number 6, plan, elevation, and typical cross-section views of the project. Okay, something like 2D 2D view, so that we are able to understand the complexity of this project. Okay, for our better understanding of the underwriting information. Construction program, which shows the stage of the progress of the project, and reason photos. All right, industrial kind of construction like building a factory, similar type of document required. Okay, so I'm not going into detail, but take note that if at the same time there is a machine installation required, okay, do take note if it's the major ones to propose the erection or risk insurance, which I'll go into the next slide later to explain what are the documents required. Roadworks, okay, sometimes, or most importantly, we will ask for section and longitudinal drawing of the roadworks. Laying of underground pipes. Okay, I will talk more about this because these are more commonly seen. You may then approach by your customers sometimes to quote for underground piping. If the depth of the underground piping, or if the contract value is huge for this project, you need to refer to us for quotation. Okay, but somehow you may first check or request for this underwriting documents. Okay, letter of award, score of work. Okay, this I'm not going to repeat. Okay, number 4. Scaled drawing showing the root alignment of the pipes. Okay, it's important for us to understand the position, okay, the root of the piping. Details of the typical trenching and the trench support in the laying of underground pipes. Okay, this is for us to understand, to study how the pipes will be laid down, to understand the soil also, because it is a narrow excavation method that be done on the surface before they start the excavation work. Plan, elevation, and typical cross-section views is also required. Schedule of the pipelines, detailed and respective pipe size and length of the pipes involved, and recent photographs. Okay, bridge works. This is usually a referred risk, especially if it's a wet risk. Okay, so same, get the drawing, method statement. It's a wet risk, okay, which crossing the river or sea. Okay, we will then further request for hydrological and bathymetry data, and as well as the marine traffic at that bridge location. Yeah, come to machine. This is a ER policy sometimes. Okay, what are the documents required? Besides the important or the mandatory document, LA and all that, please also understand, go and ask what are the process involved in installing the machines. The specifications of the machine, including the country of origin, is important because in the event of a claim, we need to reinstate, the machine. Cost of the breakdown, sometimes the cost per equipment can be very expensive. So if the contractor is erecting a machine, we need to understand, what are the equipments, how much is the value, so that the underwriters can identify, or determine the reasonable deductibles, according to the type of project. Construction program, including testing and commissioning schedule, and also sometimes we will check whether the work involves tie-ins to existing utilities or production lines or not. And maybe this is something to do with the electricity supply and all that. Most importantly, if it is a highly technical and specialized job, we will need to further understand the contractor's profile. Who are they? Are they experienced? Are they professional enough to erect or install such high technical machines? Because if they are not, here come our higher risk that we have to bear. All right. Besides that, we will also understand, do they use any heavy equipment or not? Do they use any forklift, double forklift, or what to erect the machines? Do they erect the machines on the ground floor? They will go to second floor. These are also the risk exposure, which increase the risk if they have such activities or installation activities. So don't worry, I've just gone through with you what are the underwriting document or information required for different type of projects. But if you are approached to quote for any risk, feel free to contact us or your servicing officer. We will guide you through all the underwriting information or document required. But you may first just ask for the mandatory ones, okay, to save time, like LA, scope of work, site layout plan, what are the surrounding third-party properties. That will shorten the time of the underwriters to come back to you on the questions required. Okay. Now, next, we are going to talk about what are the referred risks, okay, which will not will require more prudent underwriting to consider. Bridge construction or repair works. Imagine that. Okay, this is a kind of like mega risk. Airport construction or repair. Reclamation works involve a digging, excavation, and filling the soil or sand. Dam and reservoir construction, like I mentioned just now, laying of pipes and underground cables. Okay, these are more commonly seen, but remember it is a referred risk. Okay, come to us for the underwriting information required. Tunnel work. Okay, construction of waterborne vessels, standalone demolition work is also a referred risk. Okay, imagine the kind of exposure, the risk exposure you may bear. Okay, whether or not what is the method of demolition? Blasting, okay, or just knocking down the building. So imagine the exposure to the existing surrounding properties. So this is a referred risk. Take note of that. Abandoned contract works. People built halfway already, and then the risk is abandoned for some time. And contractor approach you and say, hey, hello, can you quote for me? Take over this project. Bear in mind that this is a special type of risk, which whatever pre-existing conditions of this structure is unknown. So a more prudent underwriting or more information is required before we can consider such risk. Abandoned contract works. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about this faulty designer's risk. Okay, as I mentioned in my previous slides, remember, faulty design is an exclusion, okay, standard exclusion of a policy. However, okay, in some case, designer's risk cover may be required, especially when the risk is a more complex ones, involving high-rise or even piling, okay, which the design fault may happen. Customer may then request, please extend my CAR policy to cover faulty designer's risk. What is faulty designer's risk? Okay, it covers, okay, look at this picture for a better illustration. Okay, a small cross here. Look at this tower. Okay, if this item is what's I call damage due to faulty design, and subsequently further damage to whatever existing construction material or construction work, all right? If you do not have faulty design covered, okay, nothing is payable. But you may ask to extend your CR policy to cover faulty designer's risk. But take note of this. Resultant damage, okay? Even with this extension to cover faulty designer's risk, okay, subject to approval, okay? The coverage says that we will only pay for whatever resultant damage arising from the faulty design item. Policy will not pay for the item which is wrongfully designed. Okay, we pay for this structure. Okay, I hope it's clear. What are the rejected risks? Risk not in Malaysia, aerial devices, offshore risk. These are all standard rejected risk. Nuclear power station, mini, small hydro, which is actually it's not within the treaty of our underwriting, or some is a very high risk that we may not want to consider. Okay, bad claims experience. Okay, these are all the risks that we don't do. Okay, look at this rejected risk according to type of policy. Sometimes you may come across that customers say, oh, I want section 2 TPL with a high limit, I want 10 million, 20 million. Oh, so okay, please say no, we don't do anything exceeds 10 million. It is rejected risk. We don't do advanced loss of profit. Okay, loss of profit is not covered under CR. Project works with total contract and maintenance work equal to or more than 7 years, or even project works with construction period exceeding 5 years. These are usually too long a project. Okay, it's either usually in the market also there's no treaty support. Okay, no insurance company would want to consider such a long period of project, which is not the risk is too high or too huge for us to consider. Risk with full design cover. Remember just now we talked about designer's risk, which that item, okay, the first item which is faulty design, we will not cover that item. But so if the customer requests, I want full cover, including the defective or the wrongful design items to be included. No, it's a rejected risk. Next, which I think today's slide we didn't touch on deductibles. Okay, but just a brief introduction. What is deductible? Deductible is excess of the policy. Okay, which will be stated in the policy according to the section. Section 1, bearing some excess. Section 2 as well, to spell out, okay, in the event of loss due to the cost mentioned under the deductibles, certain amount the insured has to self-insure, meaning insurer will not pay for the deductibles. So for standard or common CRR policy, even in the market, okay, all comes with deductible. All right, because it is reasonable for insured to self-insure smaller risk so that the insurer can also manage the pricing of the CRR insurance, okay, instead of taking all the risk under one policy. So covers without a minimum deductible, we don't do. Okay, we do not consider. Last is any risk which is using a Petronas manuscript wordings. I also never seen these wordings, but this is a special type of policy wordings. We will not accept that. Okay, next come to the last part of the CRR product briefing. I'm going to talk about the premium calculation. How do you calculate the premium for a CR and ER policy? Let's look at this example, the table on the left. Okay, the total contract value, say for example, is 1.972 million. Okay, remember, I recall, I've mentioned to you some other items that you can insure under section 1, like material supplied by principal, construction plan, removal of debris, professional fees, and principal existing properties, right? Recall, okay? So I hope you can remember all these items. Now, this example, okay, we have a 500,000 on PEB. So sum up to 2,472,000. The total sum insured. This will be the total sum insured for your CAR or ER policy. So how do you calculate the premium? Okay, sum insured we have explained. Premium rate, okay, 0.15. Take note that this rate is actually quoted or given by the insurer, by our underwriter. Upon receiving the underwriting information and document that you have supplied or provided to us, underwriters will assess the risk as a whole. Remember, CRR is a policy that issued according to the period of the contract. All right, so underwriters will look into all these factors, including how long is the period, okay, what method you use, what kind of job you perform, then we'll come up with this rate. Okay, there's no fixed rate for CR. It is always a risk assessment type or risk hazard weighing type of risk. All right, so the premium is simple. Just take the sum insured, multiply by the rate, you will get the premium for your CR policy. Bear in mind, this is not only a 12 months premium. This is sometimes a few months premium until, or maybe a few years premium for a project. A project risk follows the construction period. Then multiply by the service tax, stamp duty. Here, this is the total premium that you pay. The insured has to pay for this policy. Okay. As for the commission, as agent, you're interested to know how much you will earn, right? Okay. For CR and ER policy, the commission is 15%, right? Based on the gross premium. For this case, the gross premium is 3,708. Okay. Use the total sum insured multiplied by the rate, and 15% of 3,708. This is what you earn for this policy, 591 ringgit and 10 cents. Okay, so sometimes the higher the sum insured, the higher the rate, okay, the more you earn. Next, I'm going to talk about the period of extension. Okay, this is also important for you to learn because I would say not all projects is able to be complete earlier or even on time. In some case scenario or most of the case, extension may be required. So you are asked, if you are asked to extend the period of a CAR or ER policy, how do you calculate it? How do you calculate the extension premium? Okay, we take the scenario that we have just mentioned earlier. Okay, let's just say the construction period or the period of the policy, as stated in the policy, is 184 days. And you are asked by your customer or your contractor to extend for another 59 days. Okay, so this is how we calculate. First, you must know what is the contract period original, because we're going to charge pro rata according to the original period premium or period that we charge. Okay, just now the premium is 3,708. All right, so the extension premium for 59 days, you will have to use the premium charged for the entire project, okay, which is 184 days, okay, and times 59. So 3,708, okay, multiplied by 59 divided by 184. This is the extension premium the insured has to pay, plus 6%. No need to add the stamp duty because this will be in the form of endorsement to extend your CAR and ER insurance. Okay, and of course, you will still earn a 50% onto the gross premium, okay, for the extension. Now, when it comes to extension, I wish to highlight a few things. I hope that you all can always ask the insured or the contractor why they want to extend the period. Okay, number one, ask the reason for the delay, because every extension is subject to approval from the company. Insurance company is not, I would say, we are not obligated or not necessarily we will agree on every extension. So it is important we will look at whether or not it is reasonable for this extension to be granted. So you want to know what is the reason of delay. For an example, a valid reason has been given in the past. MCO, CMCO, delay, okay? All this, okay, is unavoidable, unforeseen, which insurance company will usually accept and allow the extension of period, okay? The other part, we also need to know what are the percentage that you have been completed, okay? Number two, so what are the remaining works, number three, that you have not completed? Sometimes an extension period may be due to additional work or alteration of the work, which is crucial, and you have to highlight to your customer, if you have additional work and resultant in the extension of period which is required, they actually need to declare to the insurance company, because we do not automatically cover whatever not declared to us. So they have to tell us what is in addition to what have been declared. Okay, for the underwriters actually to reassess the risk again. Bear in mind, the rate, just now we mentioned the 0.15, okay, is the result of the assessment of the entire project risk. Okay, so if there is any deviation from the original underwriting information provided, the company or the underwriters reserve the right either not to grant extension, or we may agree on some extension with different terms and conditions. All right, so take note of that when you are approached for extension, ask for this information. Next, these are the leads. This is where you can get your business from, right? I don't know whether you know any contractor, any principal. Now is the time you can ring them up and then ask, any project risk that you can refer me. I know contract works insurance that you can sell and explain to them now confidently. Okay, Jabatan Kerjaya Raya Malaysia. Okay, if you know anybody or you sit in for the meeting, architects, mechanical, electrical consultant, okay, ask them to maybe refer you to the principal or contractor that they know of, engineers as well. Okay, these are where the leads coming from. Quiz time again. And I hope you don't fall asleep, because I keep on talking, I can't see you. I don't know whether you are still there. Anyways, so that's two. First question of the quiz. What information can you find in letter of award? I think I have repeated this many times just now. Okay, can you recall? I said, get a copy of the letter of award. What are the informations that available under award, the letter of award, okay, which you can just submit to us and we will know who is who, what is what. Okay, give you some hint already. Anybody know the answer of question number 1? Again, if you see anybody, okay, answer the questions, or you can open up your mic, okay, just on your mic and speak up. Welcome. It's okay, I can hear you at least. I've been talking non-stop for 1.5 hours. No answer?
Mr. Santanam said that
Thank you,
period
Mr.
of project.
Santanam. Yeah, can you read out the answer, please, Ben? Ben?
Okay, title of the project, Mr. Jin. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Wow, how many copy already? Mr. Sim Ting An has to buy you. And Mr. Santanam, okay, claim from your service officer. Who else can answer it? Project title? Yes, correct. There are many more, okay? You have the period of insurance is also, the period of the project is also mentioned there. The defects liability period is mentioned there. What else other than the project title? Sometimes the scope of work. As easy as principal name, contractor names are all available under this letter award. Okay, so having a letter award will actually ease your burden to one by one ask your customer, hey, who is it, what project is this, what is your project title, what is the breakdown of your contract value. Okay, most of this information are available under the letter award. Good, thank you for your answer. Next, name a few documents that are commonly required for underwriting. Okay, as you can see for question 1 already, letter of award. This is the most common, the most important ones that you get from your customer. Or if sometimes for a smaller project, just for your information, if letter award is not available, you may also ask for the PO, the purchasing order. It will also give some information required for insurance quotation. What else other than letter of award? Anybody? Okay, never mind. I'll just tell you. I just name a few. Layout plan, remember? Okay, scope of work, bill of quantities. These are a few documents that commonly required. Even soil investigation report, the block layout. Okay, construction program. For high-rise building, remember, we will ask for the what's that called, section view or the elevation view, the 2D view of the building. Okay, the piling schedule and all that, right? Third, name a few parties that you can easily source for leads to project risk. I think this one you can remember lah. Okay, your friends, any of them, principal, contractor, engineers, architects. Okay, it's time that you approach them and see, look, any project risk that you miss out. Okay, this is the last one. I think to prevent everybody falling asleep, okay, I would like to give you a test. I don't call it a test lah, but just try it out. This is a case scenario which may give you a better understanding of, in certain circumstances, what is covered, what is not covered. Okay, let me explain to you this scenario. Look at that. Okay, this is the construction work. The principal is Dato Chan. The contractor is ABC Construction Sdn Bhd. Okay, so they bind in the contract lah. Dato Chan award the project to build this building to ABC Construction Sdn Bhd. Okay, next. The scenario is, this is a completed works and has already been handed over to Dato Chan. Take note, CPC completion certificate signed. All right. So Dato Chan takes over the building. Currently, it is under the defects liability period. Okay. So what happened is, flood from external source, damage to the completed works during the defects liability period. Okay. There is a CR policy, okay, purchased by ABC Construction, Dato Chan, okay, which is extended to cover visit or extended maintenance clause. Okay, I hope you can recall what I said earlier on. And the question is CAR policy for ABC Construction Sdn Bhd liable for this damage? Okay, flood from external source to completed works during defects liability period. Okay, I will give you all 10 minutes. At the same time, this is also a break time, a toilet break if you want to. Whoever can answer this question, okay, you can type in the chat room. I think all you are quite shy. Okay, the first will answer this question correctly, whether policy is liable or not liable, with the explanation of why it is liable or why it is not liable. Okay, if you answer this correctly, you win another, what's that called? Coffee bean coffee, or Starbucks coffee from your service officer. Okay, from Nguyen Liu. I'll give you 10 minutes time before I come back and look at your answer. Okay, we will resume at now is 11:40. We'll come back at 11:50. Okay, feel free to type your questions now. Okay, stay tuned, everybody. Let's go into our website, okay, to check what are the claims procedure and what are the documents required for different types of claims, ranging from all classes. I think mostly are available in our website. Or always call us up. Okay, call Lonpac, call your servicing officer. We were able to guide you through. First and foremost, when that is a claim, notify your customers. Okay, please initial claim notification. Inform Lonpac Insurance immediately. Remember, there is also a period that you need to actually report the claim to us. Otherwise, we will then question why you late in reporting the claim, and you need to explain, the customer need to explain the reason for late notification, because it's somehow in breach of the conditions of the policy, right? So coming back to the claims procedure, after you have initial a claim, you notify Lonpac. Okay, we will look at whatever information that you have provided, or we'll ask for the information and decide whether or not an appointment of loss adjuster is required. We'll look at the nature of the claim, or even the quantum of the claim, or the estimated loss, to decide whether we need an adjuster to investigate or not. If adjuster is required, then subsequently adjuster will contact your customer, okay, make an appointment and do the necessary survey interviews to assess the claim. Lonpac will at the same time issue a document request letter, okay, for the customer to provide the first, the basic information or document that required in order for us to study the claim. Okay, loss adjuster will then deal with the insured, okay, to gather all the required document, information, or evidence, most importantly, to substantiate the claim, and then take note of that. Once adjuster has received all the document requested, okay, from that point onwards, as agreed, okay, adjuster also need time, right, to study and assess the claim. Then only then they can actually make a conclusion or give their opinion of this claim. They will have at least 14 working days, okay, from the date they receive document, okay, to provide final report to insurance company. Of course, most of the time we will then ask the adjuster to facilitate, but okay, just an information. They will have 14 working days to work out their final report. Once the final report is submitted to Lonpac, okay, which is our claims department, the claims department officer will then pick it up, okay, study the claim, and then, okay, summarize, and or if there is any questions, we also may then have to go back to the adjuster to clarify. Sometimes we also need to go back to the insured, okay, to clarify certain questions, all right, to assess the claim. Once the claim is approved, all right, usually, okay, from the date of we report the final report to the day of we finalize the claim, usually will take 7 to 14 working days. We will then issue the letter of offer and discharge voucher to the claimant. And then subsequently, Lonpac will make claim or pay the claim. All right, so this is a simplified claims procedure of an ER and CR policy. Next, what are the documents required for claims processing? Okay, needless to say, definitely claim form is required. Must be stamped, okay, by the contractor. All right, the company stamp and sign. Reasons on the late notification, if any, as I mentioned. Okay, that is the time stated in the policy, a duration, okay, that says that within what period you need to notify the claim to the insurance company. If you fail to, then therefore we will have to understand or get you to explain to us officially the reason of your late notification. All right, this is a compulsory document. Please take note of that. Duly completed ECP form. This is required when we need to pay you. Okay, of course, when you notify a claim, please let us know which policy, okay, you are covering with us. So for us to assess whether this is the policy that should be triggered or not. Photographs of the claim, okay, showing the site of damage and all that is important. Okay, if police report is required like theft claim, please forward a copy to us. And adjuster report is definitely, the final report is important, okay, for, I mean, it is mandatory if adjuster is involved for us to finalize the claim, and any other relevant documents required to process the claims, okay. Without any document, without any evidence, no insurance company can process a claim. Please explain this clearly to your customer. As for workman compensation, it's even simple, okay. When that is a workman claim, whether a bodily injury or death claim whatsoever, okay, initial claim notification, notify Lonpac. We will then issue document request letter, okay, to ask for the relevant document to process the claim. If everything is in order, because as I said, workman compensation is quite straightforward type of insurance, okay, Lonpac will then issue the letter of offer and discharge voucher to the claimant. Okay. Simple, huh? Next, what are the documents usually requested for workman compensation insurance? Claim form, okay. Medical report, okay, if that is a medical claim, it's a body injury, we need the medical report certified by doctor. And medical leave sheet MC, original hospital bill and receipts. Please highlight to your customers. For medical bills, it always has to be original, okay, because you can't claim twice. Okay, insured's pay slips and wages record for the 6 months. This is basically to prove that, okay, this is your workman and it is covered under my policy. Okay, photographs of injury for permanent disability only, and of course, okay, this is not so relevant anymore because we don't have FWCS policy. If that is, we will need to ask a copy. Certificate of business registration, letter of award, okay, to check against if this is the project that the workman is engaged, okay. ECP form, this is for payment. Okay, take note that for workman compensation claim, okay, this payment or the medical fees, there's a limit that we pay according to the act. Same goes to death. If not mistaken, I remember, okay, it is to use the basic salary or wages of the woman, okay, multiplied by 60 times, or not mistaken, 18,000, whichever is lower. All right. So in most of the time now, I will actually advise my customers if you have your own employees or what, women, they may also consider an additional PA cover for your workmen, because the sum that which is recoverable under the workman compensation is actually not much. Okay, right. I think that's the end of the my presentation. Before we end it, we will proceed to some case study just to share with you some pictures. So it will not be so boring. Okay, look at this claim, real claim scenario A. Okay, type of insurances that they purchased. The contractor bought a CAR insurance. Okay, what happened? Collapse of side wall section. See, this side wall section is collapsed. Okay, and this side wall section is a neighbor building. All right, so you can see this is a construction work going on, right? So what is the cause of the loss? Soil washed away by flood, causing floor slab to subside, okay, and wall collapse. Okay, due to this construction work, all right, then cause damages to this third party. This is a third party claim. So we will have to reinstate, okay, or repair this wall, and the estimated claim amount, you see, this small piece of wall, 25,000. Case study B, okay, this is an erection or risk policy covering the erection of the cables or for a factory. What had happened? Okay, damage to electrical cables from open shed factory under construction. Right? Why is it damaged? Theft by workers from other ongoing construction within the area. Okay, so when they steal the cable, they just pull. Just to share with you, there is a very, very high chances of theft. Okay, so if you are doing a CR or ER policy, take note of this is the risk exposure that you may face. Usually, when the project is about to complete, when the electrical work is in place, is ongoing, or has been completed, even prior to handover of the project to the principal, that is the time when theft claims occur. So when we underwrite a CR or ER insurances, it's important that underwriters will look into, besides the surrounding properties, the vicinity, who stays there, and how congested is that area, whether the contractor is experienced or what's I call responsible enough to take the necessary precautions, hold up the area, have guarding the area. Otherwise, okay, you will see theft claims. Okay, chances of theft claims is high. You see, just a little bit damage. They pull. How much is the claim? 50,000 and more, I tell you. Okay. Next, case study number 3 of C. Okay, this is a contractor or risk insurance building a semi-D house. What happened? Under construction, semi-D house collapsed partially. You see, partially collapsed. This is a collapse risk. Okay. What caused the collapse? Impact damage caused by topple lorry while unloading sand at site. You see, these are risks that the project risk may face. It's common. Vehicle toppled, the crane overturned, hit onto third parties. All these are common claims. The collapse of the bridge which hit on third party, hit on own workmen. Okay, that is why the need of CR and workman comp. This claim is 25,000. Okay, last one. This is a workman claim. Insured's ring finger, okay, stuck in one of the lorry, a car stolen, caused left hand ring finger to partially cut off. Okay, I don't know why the insured jumped from behind the lorry. Anyway, this is obviously the bodily injury claim. Okay, so it is recoverable under the workman compensation insurance. The estimated claim is 4,000 for this case. Look, if they do not have the CR or ER, and even the workman compensation insurance, okay, all these losses will be a financial loss of the contractor, and they may end up in a predicament, okay, financial predicament. So now we see the importance of having the contract work insurances to protect the interests of the principal contractor as well as the subcontractors. Okay, I think this is the end of my presentation. Before we end it, the last question of the quiz. What is the first thing the insured should do when there is a claim? Okay, I don't want to waste your time. Initiate claim, inform Lonpac. Okay, notify a claim. This is the first thing they should do. And subsequently, we will guide you through, okay, the document or information required or an adjuster is required to assess the claim. I finished the slides for today. Thank you for your attention. It's a bit long. I've taken about 2 hours plus. Okay, I really appreciate your participation. If you have any questions, okay, now you may raise your questions. I hope I can answer all your questions. If not, okay, we'll come back to you. Anyway, I have my team here, Lillian, my boss here, my team here will also, okay, attend to your questions. Any? You want to speak Hokkien, Mandarin? Oh, I can understand. Sorry, Tamil, I can't. Tamil, I can't. I will try to learn. It's difficult. Anyone? Any questions? If not, those who have answered correctly, refer to your servicing officer for the few cups of coffee, especially Mr. Jin, maybe you need to share with me. So many cups of coffee from seeing your servicing officer. Anyway, I'm glad and thank you for your participation, and Mr. Santanam too. And the rest of you, I hope that in the future training, you may, okay, don't be shy, just ask questions so that we know whether we have explained what's that called clearly to you, which you understand this product clearly, because the intention is we want you to be equipped, okay, to have the knowledge of all or most of the general insurance product, okay, to provide a one-stop service provider for all your customers, enlarge your business portfolio, not only selling personal lines insurance. There are many, many more, okay, and this is the knowledge that you may gain also from learning other classes of insurances under being a general insurance agent, okay. So if there's no further questions, I will end the session, this training session. Please continue to join us for the many months to come in the future, which we've laid down. Okay, we've planned for you the training program for more and more difficult classes to learn. Okay, now I hope that you will start exploring around. Okay, send to us your inquiry on CRR, ER, women insurances. Okay, we hope that you